Broadcasting from Charlotte, North Carolina, on Sports Byline USA, uniting sports fans everywhere. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
If God wasn't in my life, I really don't know how I would get through it, how I would play this game.
For the next hour, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world.
As people, we get caught up in, I can do it, without allowing God to come and work and actually be the center of it all.
Bringing you high energy and thought-provoking sports talk with a purpose.
He knows I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be right all the time, but I'm going to continue to love him first and foremost.
Now, from his mic to your ears, this is Bryce Johnson.
Welcome to Unpacking It, where we unpack sports, faith, and life with intriguing guests from the sports and entertainment world. I'm Bryce Johnson. So glad to be with you today. We've got an excellent show in store. First up, we'll be joined by Luke Maye, former Carolina basketball star and now looking to make it in the NBA. And we're going to talk all about his college career, what it was like on and off the floor, but mainly what it was like with his teammates and his faith journey. And that was a special Carolina team these last couple of years. They, of course, won the championship. Luke Maye had the monster shot against Kentucky, and so he's really a legend at North Carolina, and so it'll be great to have him on the show. And then the second guest today is Hunter Henry, tight end for the LA Chargers. Now, he's coming back from a season where he was out with an injury all year long. He made it back for the playoffs and played just a little bit, but he's coming back this year. And especially from a fantasy football perspective, a lot of people have high hopes for him. And from a Chargers perspective, they're thinking, hey, this is a Super Bowl caliber team, and so they're excited to now have another weapon for Phillip Rivers. And Antonio Gates has been such a great tight end for so many years, but now it's Hunter Henry's chance to be the guy. So it'll be great to catch up with him. He's been a guest on this show before. Then toward the end of the show, speaking of the Chargers, I want to talk about holdouts in the NFL. And of course, you got Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Thomas at one point, and Melvin Gordon. And so these guys are big-time players holding out. We'll discuss that in just a little bit. It's Unpacking It. We're just getting started. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back right after this.
Inspiring conversations and intriguing interviews. More Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson after this. Bringing you unique insight into the faith and character of guests from the sports world. Welcome back to Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
It's Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson, unpackingit.com. We're going to jump right into our first interview, and joining us now is Luke Maye. He is a former UNC basketball star, and he just finished playing in the Summer League for the Milwaukee Bucks. During his career at North Carolina, he was an All-American and an All-ACC player, and the Tar Heels won the NCAA Championship in 2017. He joins us today on Unpacking It to discuss basketball, faith, and life. Luke, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
Doing great, Bryce. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you on, and of course, you just finished up Summer League. So what was that experience like for you, and what were some of your takeaways from the games out in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it was great. I had a great time, great opportunity with the Bucks organization, and able to just continue to show my skills and try to show people I could play the next level. And probably had some good games and had some not so good games, but overall it was a great opportunity for me and for my teammates, and great to see a lot of Carolina guys out there playing as well.
That's right. Well, so what is that like, though? Because here you are, you just finished college, you're used to the college game, and now it's Summer League. So it's still younger players, guys that you played with in college and all that sort of thing. What's the atmosphere like, the camaraderie? What's just the experience fully?
It's competitive. It's definitely like trying to go out there and win for your organization and for your team. But, I mean, before the game, after the game, you say what's up to guys you've seen through the college ranks, and especially your former teammates. And I mean, it was great to have that opportunity to continue to play basketball, and hopefully I'll get that opportunity to continue to play during this season.
Absolutely. Luke Maye, our guest right now on Unpacking It. And so take me into the process after your season ended with UNC, and you begin preparing for the NBA, and you end up going undrafted, but then you get this opportunity with the Bucks. So what have the last couple of months been like, and what was that entire process like for you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was just, after the season ended, I finished school, and some weekends I'd fly down to IMG and train down there, just working on basketball and working on my body. And then once I graduated in early May, I just went down to IMG for a couple more weeks, and then I started working out for NBA teams just across the country, flying all over the place and trying to figure out kind of what was the best fit for me. And then once the draft happened, I went undrafted, and it was unfortunate, but sometimes you just got to make your own story. And throughout my basketball career, I haven't had the easiest path, but I've always tried to make the most out of it. And I think that's the biggest thing that I was going to try to do with this situation. And I got with a great organization, and hopefully it'll continue to be a great path for me. And at the end of the day, I mean, the good Lord has my path already written, and I just need to make the decisions that I feel like are best for His glory and for my future endeavors as well.
Amen. Luke Maye, our guest right now on Unpacking It. And so you mentioned, when you went to UNC, you had to prove yourself and get worked into the lineup, and you improved throughout your career at UNC. And so what lessons did you learn from that experience that can help you as you start over again and have to prove yourself in the NBA? Yeah,
I think just continue to do what I do great, and just make sure that those two or three things are very specific to me and that I bring to a team, and I continue to do those at a high level. And the other things, whether that be some of the things I'm not as good at or that I'm pretty weak at, I just got to continue to hone in on and try to continue to improve as I go through my career. But at the end of the day, I mean, teams look for specific things from guys who can play a role for their team, and I think I do some things really well that I can bring to an NBA team.
Oh, it'd be valuable for sure. Luke Maye, former UNC basketball star, joining us here on Unpacking It. And so now that your time at UNC is over, when you reflect on your college career, what are some of the things that come to mind?
And the biggest thing that comes to mind for me is just relationships I have with teammates, with the coaches. I mean, Coach Williams is one of the greatest coaches of all time, and for me to be able to learn under him and kind of see the game from his perspective was an unbelievable opportunity for me. And now looking back, I mean, I got so many great friendships, and having lived with Kenny Williams, Justin Jackson, and Cam Johnson, Cam and Justin for 2 years each, and Kenny for all 4, just really created a bond with us 3 that, or I guess us 4, that, I mean, it was just really, really special and something that we'll have memories and we'll have a friendship forever. And I mean, that's things that you really cherish coming out of college. And I mean, just the people that I've met and throughout my career, whether that be in school or from the basketball team. And I mean, I had a great opportunity, and I was very blessed to be able to have so many people pour into me and be able to share some of their experiences that helped me create a path for myself that was pretty unique and pretty successful in my opinion. And I think that's something that can go a long way, whether that be with my brothers or with just my life in general.
No, that's really cool. And I'm thinking too, just about your specific story as far as each year you became more and more well-known and a better player, more involved in the team. What was that like, just being a student at UNC? And of course, the basketball players, they're they're well known and everybody loves UNC basketball and all that sort of thing. But what was that like for you personally to kind of go through that, the growth on the floor, but then how did that affect maybe just the involvement on campus and being a student athlete day to day, interacting with other college students?
Yeah, it was great. I loved meeting different college students, different sports, different student athletes, and being a student at Carolina was tough. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of late nights, getting back from games and having to do schoolwork for the next day, and that was probably poor planning on my part, but it was just something that I just had to continue to learn and continue to improve while I was at Carolina. And as I got deeper into my career as a student, it was a lot easier to balance my time with maybe a little bit lighter course load and being able to focus on classes that I actually really enjoyed to be in and really enjoyed the professor. Just because once I got into business school my junior year, I pretty much took all business classes, which was a lot more interesting to me. And my classmates were like-minded and wanted to achieve some of the things that I wanted to in the business world, which was very promising for me. Just overall at Carolina, the students were great. I'd always try to reach out just because, we're students as well, and we want to be treated just the same as everyone else. And I feel like sometimes, like you said, the Carolina basketball players get a little bit of a different kind of treatment from the students just walking through campus and in the certain classrooms. But I just tried to speak to people I saw walking along the streets and through the quad, and just trying to be friendly and show that, we're the same as everybody else. I felt like it was a great opportunity to use my platform to try to share what I knew and what I continue to believe about Jesus. And I thought that was really important to kind of use my platform. And I felt like also trying to get to the children's hospital as much as possible, just to be able to be a light for them and be able to see patients and get connected with certain patients that I felt like loved the game, maybe not loved the game, and just needed somebody to say hello and somebody who needed to be lifted up. And that was just important to me. And I think at the end of the day, we gotta do more than just look at ourselves. And I think the biggest thing that I cherished at Carolina was just the people that I met and the places that I was able to go because of the platform I had from the basketball team.
Man, that's awesome. Really cool to hear. He's Luke Maye, former UNC basketball star, with us right here on Unpacking It. We're just getting started with him. More with Luke right after this on Unpacking It.
Intriguing guests and inspiring conversations. This is Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
Thanks so much for joining us on Unpacking It as we unpack sports, faith, and life. I'm Bryce Johnson. Our website is unpackingit.com. You can email me, bryce@unpackingit.com. Luke Maye, our guest right now on Unpacking It, former UNC basketball star. He just finished playing in the summer league for the Milwaukee Bucks. And you mentioned reaching out to the students and people in the community, but I also know that you were a leader on that basketball team, and really during your time there, a lot of faith-filled guys, and it seemed like a team that was really rooted in faith and wanting to grow. And so, what was your approach to being a leader, not only a basketball leader but a spiritual leader as well? And what was that fellowship like among teammates, even with just within other guys that you're doing life with every day on and off the court?
Yeah, I think it was huge being able to have them grow over my time there, and myself grew a ton as well. And I thank Coach Davis for that, first and foremost, just being able to kind of bring us in. And we held team Bible studies my freshman year all the way through. And it started with around 6 guys, and it grew all the way up to about 9 or 10 by my senior year, which is great. And just being able to have guys who are being intentional about their faith and growing in what they want to believe and what they feel like is like the best path to set them on. And I mean, it was very special, and we had a great group all 4 years, and I mean, they were all very different, but I loved being around the guys and having those special moments.
Luke Maye with us right now on Unpacking It. And you mentioned, the Bible studies and Coach Hubert Davis having an influence on you. What were some of those ways that you grew spiritually throughout college? What were some of the things that, God really did in your life and things that you can just kind of, look back on and say, wow, I learned that or experienced that you'd be willing to share with us today that could even be an encouragement to some people listening?
We really had great discussions, and we had different people lead Bible studies each week. And I was very fortunate just because so many people on our team were able to take initiative and want to lead. And just to be able to hear different people's perspectives on the gospel and how they looked at it and how they viewed it would have been different than how I looked at it. And we came in each week reading a different passage, and I would read it one way, and then we go into Bible study, and whoever was leading, whether it be Kenny or Cam or Sterling Manley or Garrison Brooks, they'd look at it a different way, and it'd be a great perspective for me. And I was very fortunate that I was able to see how so many guys grew in their faith. And also we had great leaders in Coach Davis and Ricky Harris, who's a pastor at the local Summit Church up there, and Mike Exton-Camper, who does a great job with Athletes in Action. But they all were great influences on me and on our team, and we were just able to continue to try and grow each other and grow everyone's faith for the best. And I was very, very blessed to be able to have that fellowship.
Amen. Amen. Luke Maye, our guest right now on Unpacking It. And so I guess another way to look at it, when you look back, even on your entire life, what were some of the seasons of life or the key moments in life where your faith was challenged, and maybe even how difficulties in life have strengthened your faith and you've seen God move and work in your life through difficulties? Because I know people listening, we're all going through different stuff, and personally, family wise or career wise, what are some of the things that you've learned in your short life, but that you could maybe share just based on your experience?
Yeah, I think, whenever I was really faced with adversity, I really flocked back to Christ. I just felt like that was the person that was strongest, and kind of, you hear that song about the cornerstone. He was always kind of that person in my corner, and I've tried to read the Bible as much as I can, and I need to be able to read it more, but I do as best I can to try to read as much as I can. And I think the biggest decisions in my life, like choosing a college and choosing a major after I graduate, just leave in God's hands. And going to Carolina was probably not the most, I guess you could say, a lot of people would not have chosen that path just because of the opportunities I had other places. But I felt like I was being called there, and felt like I had confidence in myself, and I wanted to trust in God, and felt like that was a great opportunity to chase my dream of playing in the NBA. And at the end of the day, your path has already been written, and you just have to make decisions that will put you on that path, and you just have to continue to pray. And I've really been strong in prayer. My family and my grandparents have prayed for me so much, and I've been very thankful for that. Having faith in Him to set you down the right path was always something that I prayed for and had a chance to try to focus on. And I was very, very blessed to have that opportunity to live out my dream playing at Carolina and having a big role. And I also, my sophomore year, got into a car accident, and I was able to walk away free of injury, and had a great blessing to be able to talk about my story and teach kids and adults just kind of how I've grown from that situation and what God was trying to tell me through that car accident. And it's just been very fortunate that I've been able to be such a light in so many people's lives. And I just thank God every day for being able to continue to speak to others and be a role model to so many kids, my brothers, my family, and just been very fortunate. But I just continue to say just prayer is huge, and prayer has been huge for me, and especially through this process where I don't really know where I'm going and what my next step is, just being able to kind of cope and understand that he has my best interest, and just continue to pray towards him and pray for my family, just giving them the wisdom to help me understand the best path for me and the best decision for me. And I mean, I've been lucky to make good decisions so far in my life, in my opinion, and maybe not be the best decision in God's eyes, but I wouldn't know that. And I just have to continue to make as educated a decision as I can with my faith and my family and the people I love around me. I'm very thankful that I'm able to be on this radio show and be able to continue to try to be a light in people's lives and to try to learn from other Christians as well. Just always try to better myself and better my family and the people I love. And I'm very fortunate that I have this opportunity. So thank you, Bryce.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I love your perspective and just your willingness to, share that with our audience today. So it's really, really encouraging to hear. And he's Luke Maye with us on Unpacking It. Last question. I wanted to ask you about your three younger brothers, and so you're the oldest of four. I'm the oldest of three brothers. And so as you kind of look at their career, they're all athletes as well. Kind of give us a quick update on how each of them are doing and kind of where they're at in their own careers playing sports.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I have my oldest brother is just turned 21 a month ago, and he was a baseball player at Florida, but he decided to hang up the cleats for now, and he's just a student down there at Florida, and it was pretty special. We both won a national championship the same year, different sports with different teams, so that's pretty cool to look back on and have that success in our family. It was pretty special for my parents. And then I have another brother who's just turned 18, and he's rising senior in high school. He plays basketball, and he's hopefully going to try to play at the next level, and we'll see. He's had a couple of knee surgeries, so he's kind of recovering from those, but he's got a great opportunity. He's a big kid, and hopefully the genes will continue to help him out moving forward. And then my youngest brother is probably one of the better athletes in our family, and he plays football and has a great opportunity to play at a high Division I school, and he's got a great opportunity, and hopefully he makes the most of it. I mean, and we're all very competitive, and we're actually going to the beach today, so have a great opportunity to go down there and compete in different aspects, bocce ball, and we might have a little race on the beach, but just kind of things that all families love to do and love to compete. But we're very close, and we love each other, and that's the biggest thing.
That's awesome. Have a great time at the beach. And so who usually takes bocce? Who wins bocce?
I don't know. Bocce's it's a great game because there's not much strategy to it. It's just kind of tossing it.
That's right.
And so, I mean, everybody's kind of got an opportunity to win. So that's why it's pretty fun, because we always have some bragging rights. But we'll play like tennis, and we'll play golf, and we'll play all these different kinds of sports, kind of like Olympics for us. But it's a lot of fun. Man,
and your dad and mom were both great athletes. Do they still compete with you guys as well?
Yeah, they still play. Yeah, my dad's had a couple injuries over his years, but they still try to get out there and play, and it's a great opportunity because we have 6, so we can do teams of 2, or we can just do all individual. So it's a lot of fun, and we have a blast.
That's incredible. Well, enjoy it, and really appreciate you being a part of Unpacking It today. Thanks for sharing your heart and being willing to come on and kind of reflect on your career at UNC, but we're excited to follow you and see what God has in store for you next as you continue to pursue your professional basketball career. So go get them and enjoy the rest of the summer.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much, Bryce. I really appreciate you having me on, and God bless you.
He's Luke Maye, former UNC basketball star, with us on Unpacking It, and a real privilege to talk with him. And even as a Duke fan myself, a guy like Luke Maye, you can't help but respect him, root for him, cheer for him, and really I hope that he's able to make it into the NBA. I think the impact that he can have in a locker room has already been evident, and so it was cool to talk to him about his time at UNC. So I hope you enjoyed that. Up next, Hunter Henry from the LA Chargers will join us on Unpacking It. Hey, it's Bryce Johnson, and it is time to start thinking about the upcoming fantasy football season. And good news, Unpacking It Ministries has a resource for you that will take you from the draft all the way through the championship. Order your Fantasy Football Fellowship playbook today, and each week, read about a fantasy concept and how it relates to the Bible and our own lives. It's designed for your league to discuss at weekly league meetings, on the phone, or in person. The FFF Playbook will add more meaning and purpose to the fantasy season and add value to your league. Grow in your faith, build deeper relationships with other owners in the league, and make more of your fantasy season. Join us at fantasyfootballfellowship.org and find all the details and order the FFF Playbook today. That's fantasyfootballfellowship.org.
Bringing you unique insight into the faith and character of guests from the sports world. Welcome back to Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson.
It's great to be with you here on Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson. You can email me, bryce@unpackingit.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast. You can find it anywhere podcasts are found. And if you've missed the show in recent weeks, maybe you've been traveling or whatever, go catch up on the podcast because we've interviewed Rod Woodson, the Hall of Famer. We actually interviewed the president of the Hall of Fame, David Baker. And a lot of great guests have been joining us recently. And in the next coming weeks, we'll be joined by Jim Tressel from Ohio State, former coach there, and now is the president at Youngstown State. We're going to talk a little bit of fantasy with Jason Moore coming up. David Pollack from ESPN will join us. Brian Anderson, a great broadcaster, will be on the show. And so thanks so much for being a part of Unpacking It each week. Next segment, we'll do Unpack This about players holding out. But before that, we've got another great interview for you. And joining us now is Hunter Henry, tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers. He was drafted in the second round of the 2016 NFL Draft after playing his college football at Arkansas, where he was on the All-ACC team 3 times. During his first 2 seasons in the NFL, he had 12 touchdowns, and he missed the entire 2018 regular season due to a torn ACL, but did return in the playoffs. We are thrilled to have Hunter Henry back on Unpacking It to talk faith, football, and life. Hunter, thanks so much for joining us again. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, and what an exciting time of year. You guys are returning to training camp. So what makes this time of year unique compared to OTAs or even the regular season?
Well, you were so close to the season, and you go stay together in a hotel. You're there all day long. You're practicing for longer. You got more reps, and then you throw the pads on. That's the main thing. I mean, football is played with is a physical sport. In the spring, you're not allowed to put the pads on yet. You just kind of running around with helmets on, but you still get a lot of work in. But there's nothing like blocking and getting physical with some guys. So that's the main thing. I think once camp starts is just finding out kind of getting back in the rhythm, getting back in shape a little bit too. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, and then what about off the field and just kind of all being together? What is the team camaraderie like, and what do you guys kind of do during the downtime? Yeah, it's just you eat together, you kind of break bread together, and learn a lot about different guys, and I think going through hard times like camp, camp can be it is definitely a grind. And when you go through that with different guys, there's just a special kind of bond that you can't describe unless you've been through it. So that's the biggest thing, I think, just going through this together, you come out of it definitely pretty, stronger and closer as a unit.
Oh, that's awesome. Hunter Henry, our guest right now on Unpacking It. And so how is your mindset and approach different this year compared to maybe your first couple of years with the Chargers?
Yeah, coming off an injury, I think anything is just taking care of my body and just, really honing in on that and trying to, be available. That's the biggest thing, is being available for this team. And I haven't been. So, I accept that. And it's just the reality of how it's been this last year. So I think it's just taking care of my body, make sure I'm there every single day, and, just working to get better. I think that's the main thing for me. And then just approaching the game in a different aspect of just I had a new appreciation for it. I think that's what being away from the game sometimes gives you, just how much you missed it and how much you love it. Actually just gets you through those hard times when you might not want to go anymore, but you just look back at those times.
Yeah, that's cool, and I'm sure you're tired of talking about the injury, but I am curious just to hear just about the journey that you went through, really from a personal standpoint and a faith perspective, and so kind of what can you share with us as far as what this last year was like as you experience getting injured, rehabbing, and attempting to get back on the field, and then ultimately being able to return in the playoffs. Kind of take us into what that was like for you.
Yeah, it was definitely hard. I grew a lot in my faith. I grew a lot in my marriage. So I got married in the last year, and so those two things were huge for me. I was able to really lean on, my rock and my faith, and football. It can get taken away sometimes as athletes. I think we can worship football and we can worship, false idols that really they're not there permanently. And, Christ is there always. It is never, he's never shaken. He's never taken away once you become a believer. So that's the main thing that I think I just was able to, rely on, is that, I am loved by him no matter what, no matter if I'm hurt and not playing, or, I'm an all-pro out there. I think that's the main thing that I had to learn, because I think we all get sucked up in this world, especially in the NFL, just with the media and different things like that. You have to humble yourself and remember, what your real purpose is out here.
Oh man, what a tremendous perspective, and along those lines too. So it sounds like you did grow, but how were you able to even spend maybe more time with the Lord or participate in different stuff that maybe you wouldn't have necessarily been able to if you had been playing? So what were some of those, opportunities or just ways that you were able to grow?
Yeah, I think I got a lot of time with my wife. That's the biggest thing, is just serving my wife. That's what God calls us to do, is just being able to be there for your wife and called to, just love on her and be there for her. So especially now being away with football and all that stuff, it was a good foundation for us. So I think that was huge. I think I was able to go to church more. And when you're in the season, you're playing on Sundays. It's a little tougher to get plugged into a church. So I got to get plugged into a church, do all that, and the church and just getting plugged in a little bit really helps me grow and just have a little bit of consistency and help me get through those hard times.
Yeah, and had you experienced anything like that in the past? Like what was kind of the newness to being out for the year, being injured that way, and kind of, I don't know, maybe how did your perspective change because of this specific experience?
Never been through anything like this, so it was a good learning experience, and like I said, it just gave me a new appreciation for football, just how much I love it, and just a new perspective on life that anything can be taken away from you just like that.
Hunter Henry, our guest right now on Unpacking It, and so what was the dynamic like with your team and with your teammates, and were you focused on, okay, how can I still contribute, from the sideline and be there for them? And then, how were they there for you, knowing that you were dealing with an injury?
Yeah, it's hard. It's different. You feel a little isolated. I'm not going to lie. When you're injured, you're just away from the team, and you're not able to contribute. You're not really able to go through those times together, and you feel isolated and away from everybody. That part of it's hard, but we had a lot of guys that were really there for me. We have a lot of guys on the team that's been through the injury too, so they were able to give me a lot of advice and how to get through it. So those two things were huge.
And what about moving forward, knowing when other guys go on injured reserve, how will your approach change to kind of how you, intentionally reach out to them?
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big thing. Just trying to be there for them. I know what they're going through, so just encouragement and just trying to be there for them as much as I can.
That's awesome. Hunter Henry, our guest right now on Unpacking It. He's a tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers. And so you mentioned that last year you got married, and so I always love, just kind of hearing about how the wedding turned out, and was it what you'd hoped it would be, and how did all that turn out?
Yeah, it was great, man. It was a lot of stress because I did my ACL right before that, so I was rehabbing hard to try to get up on my feet, but it turned out great. Was able to walk, was able to dance, have a great time. It was perfect.
Oh, that's awesome. And what about the honeymoon? Where'd you guys go?
We went to Jamaica.
Oh, me too. Where at?
Yeah, Montego Bay.
Oh, me too. That's awesome.
Man.
We loved it. We absolutely loved it. So.
We loved it too.
Oh, good to hear. Very cool. Well, so what did you kind of mentioned being able to spend more time with your wife because of the injury, which ended up kind of being a blessing. But what did you learn, and what wisdom maybe can you share just from a first year of marriage, maybe to guys that are listening today that are getting married soon?
You need to be a leader. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to lead the marriage. I think the biggest thing is putting Christ first. That's the biggest thing, man. That forgiveness and that grace being the center of your marriage is huge for you and sets the tempo for everything. So, because forgiveness and grace is going to be the biggest thing that you're going to have to do a lot. So, you're going to have to humble yourself a lot, and just kind of die to yourself a little bit and just love her as much as you can. We're called to do that as men, and to just love them. It's like Christ the church, they say. So that's the biggest thing, is just loving them like Christ is his church. And just, that's the biggest thing for me, is just that I've learned, is just love and forgiveness.
And as you kind of have looked to other examples of marriage over the years, and maybe your parents or other people, what are some of those things that you've learned or observed that you've tried to already bring into your own marriage?
I think my parents, they're great examples. So are my in-laws. So I think we were able to look at their relationship, and it was just kind of the same things. It's just loving each other, being best friends, and just forgiving each other.
That's good. Hunter Henry, our guest right now on Unpacking It, tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers. And so let's talk a little football and about the upcoming season. What's kind of the energy like with this team, knowing that, hey, you guys had an awesome season last year. You're coming back healthy, adding a couple other pieces. What's been sort of the tone, I guess, kind of coming into training camp?
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, with a lot of weapons, we have a great offense, great defense. So we know we have a great team, and just looking forward to the opportunity to go out there and display it.
What are some areas of your game that even as you are on the sideline watching, are wanting to kind of improve on or have been improving on in the offseason?
I think, everybody's improving on what they already do, but I think it's just being a balanced team. That's the biggest thing for us, being both able to, be successful in the run game and the pass game. That's the biggest thing.
And for you specifically, what about your own game?
Yeah, for my game, I mean, I missed last year, so I think it's just health. I'm trying to play all 16 games this year, and just trying to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL. I think that's my main goal every single day.
Well, Hunter, thank you so much for joining us here on Unpacking It. Great to have you back on the show, and thanks for taking the time.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
He's Hunter Henry, tight end for the Los Angeles Chargers. Really appreciate him being a part of Unpacking It today. And we had him on a couple years ago, and really a great guest, and was bummed to see him go down all last year. But appreciate his perspective, his insight, and he's still a young guy. But hopefully that was encouraging to you today. I know just listening to somebody, go through the unexpected, the disappointment, yet embracing what you can learn through it. And so that's how he kind of went through last year. And so appreciate him being willing to share that with us today. And I've got him on my fantasy team this year. So he's one of my keepers, and keeping him in the late rounds. So hopefully he's a big contributor on the field for the Chargers and also for my fantasy team. So coming up next, we'll do our segment, Unpack This. This week's topic is about players holding out and how that relates to our own lives. You can check out our website, unpackingit.com. Be sure to subscribe to the weekday email devotional that we call Unpack This, and we send it directly to your email inbox for free when you subscribe on our website, unpackingit.com. Thanks to Luke Maye joining us earlier, Hunter Henry joining us this segment. Unpack This is next.
Inspiring conversations and intriguing interviews. More Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson after this.
This is Unpacking It. I'm Bryce Johnson. It's time for our final segment of the day. We call it Unpack This, where I take a current sports story and relate it to the Bible and our own lives. So let's jump right in. Players around the NFL are working hard at training camps right now, while a few star players have already chosen not to show up as they look to secure a new long-term deal with an increased salary. Despite teams presenting generous offers, players are choosing not to agree to the terms and instead have decided a holdout is their best option. As we consider this choice, let's unpack the definition of a holdout, which is an act of resisting something or refusing to accept what is offered. As crazy as it seems for a player not to accept an offer that includes millions of dollars every year to play a sport, it's even more upsetting that there are many of us choosing a holdout with our faith. The Bible clearly tells us everything that God offers us through Jesus. He's given us an incredible deal that includes a payment for our sin, eternal life, grace, mercy, and personal access through prayer to the Creator of the world. However, people are choosing to reject this good news and loving offer and picking a holdout instead. On the flip side, many of us today have indeed chosen to receive salvation through Jesus and have gratefully accepted his free gift. But we can still find ourselves refusing and resisting other aspects of the offer. We have to question why we're choosing a holdout instead of accepting the following terms, which are Jesus is willing to lead us and guide us in every area of our lives. Jesus is offering us an abundant life. The Bible says the fear of the Lord leads to life, so that one may sleep satisfied, untouched by evil. The Bible says wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Today, let's end our holdout and agree to the unbelievable terms we've been offered by Jesus. We bring nothing to the table except for our sin, yet we receive a long-term deal that includes peace, forgiveness, and eternal life. So I hope you're willing to unpack that for yourselves and really appreciate you joining me today, and hope you'll stay connected with us throughout the week on social media and on unpackingit.com. Until next time, I'm Bryce Johnson. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sins, he was resurrected, and through faith, I have been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a wonderful week. This has been Unpacking It with Bryce Johnson on Sports Byline USA and SiriusXM, Channel 211, Dan Patrick Radio.